This video is a quick and dirty proof of concept of how containerization works. This video is specifically dealing with SQL Server and showing how it's going to fundamentally change some of the traditional processes and approaches that would have been used in IT and how that's going to look in a newer DevOps world. So first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and kick off the script, and while it's running, I'll explain some of what's happening. So the very first step that I'm doing here is I'm creating a new Docker container. This Docker container is being created from a SQL Server image, container image that I've already downloaded. That image is basically SQL 2017, the latest version. So it's going through, it's creating that container, it's bringing it up on TCP port 1433, and the name of the container itself is SQL1. And then I'm with this -v command, I'm creating a volume, naming it SQL volume. And everything associated with this SQL container is being stored in that SQL1 volume. I then went and I copied the database backup from my local PC into the container itself, and then I used the PowerShell invoke SQL command to basically run a query that restores this database backup file, JDE Productions. So it's done running. If I go out here and I run this query to check the version, I can see that I'm running version 14.0.3. something. I'm then going to go and I'm going to look at sys databases, and I can see my new JDE projects database has been restored. I'm going to go and I'm going to create a login onto this database. Login's called tester, and now we're going to check and we're going to make sure that that login was actually created. And I see my login right down here. So if I come down here and I run a docker ps-a command, I can see my container is running. It was created about 2 minutes ago. Status is that it's up, and the name of the container is SQL1. So now, having done all of this hard work, we're going to go over and we are going to destroy the container. But before we destroy the container, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to detach the databases. Or specifically, I'm going to detach that JDE projects database. Now, versus detaching it, I should have just been able to take it into single user mode, but I didn't get that fancy for this POC. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go and I'm going to stop my Docker container. Waiting for it to stop. So now if I go back out and I run the docker ps-a command, I can see my container still exists, but it's in an exited state. It's no longer running. So my next command, docker rm, this is actually going to remove the container. Go back and check, and I now have no containers at all. Now this last command basically destroys that SQL volume that we created before, but I don't want to destroy the volume. I actually want to upgrade it. I want to attach it to a newer, faster, better version of SQL Server. So that's what we're going to do in this very next script. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kick this off and I'm going to let it run, and then I'll go back and explain what's happening. So this is the original SQL command that we ran before to create the SQL Server Docker on 2017. This was the version of the image that we were using, 2017-latest. Now we're using an image for SQL 2019 community preview. So it's recreating that Docker instance. The name of the Docker instance is the same, SQL 1. And you can also see I'm telling it to use that same SQL volume that I had already created. I'm then telling it to sleep for about 120 seconds. Now, arbitrary time values putting in scripts like this is really a bad idea. What this should be in a production type scenario is more like a do while, where periodically I'm resurfacing to see if the work is done, but while it's still in progress, it keeps looping. I say you shouldn't use arbitrary values like this because I'm running this right now on my Microsoft Surface, which is very slow. Presumably on server infrastructure, higher end stuff, this is going to happen much, much faster. And that 120 seconds would be unnecessary. And then the last step that I'm doing here is to basically go and to reattach that database. So this is the JDE projects database. And if I go over here and I can see that I'm just reattaching it versus creating a new database. So we'll give this a few more seconds to finish running. I'll spare you all humming the Jeopardy song. And it's done. All right, so if I go back over and actually let me go back up for a second to where we did that original version command. You see we were running version 14.0.3 before. I'm going to go and I'm going to rerun that version command. And we're now 15.0.1. something. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check and see if that database user that I added on that previous container that we destroyed, if it still exists. So I'll run the select name from syslogins, and I can see that my user is there, my user is created. So just to basically recap what we did, we created a SQL Server container on Dockers in SQL 2017, restored a database into the container, destroyed the container, but we preserved the volume. We attached the volume to a newer version of SQL. We started it up, gave it about 2 minutes to finish upgrading, attached the database, and voila, everything was there, everything was up, everything was running. Once again, I can go back out and run that dockers ps-a command. And there my Docker is. It's up and it's running. Thanks and have a great day. Bye.